The lesson.
Oh yeah.
Man, we were talking about this in the car. I think when we first met would have been maybe end of 2013, start of 2014.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, it would have been around then. I would have been doing a promo run for the album before the tour and shit. So that sounds about right.
And yeah, man, you know, you've been doing your thing for a minute now.
Word up.
I originally heard of your name through the battle rap circuit.
Yeah.
So I started getting into battle rap around 2013.
Yeah, well,
from memory, 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
And then I remember, someone checking out, coming to check out some battles, and they're like, yo, you got to check out this dude, MANAZ ILL.
Oh, wow.
And I can't remember what the first battle was that we watched, but then Homeboy was just like, yeah, and he's blind. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean? He's like, dude, he's a blind battle rapper.
Word up, word.
Were you always visually impaired, or that's something that happened as you grew up young? Or?
So, like, the condition I've got, the fucking nerd term for it is Leber's congenital amaurosis. And basically, it's a particularly rare degenerative condition. So as I've gotten older, it's progressively gotten worse. I could see a lot more when I was a lot younger. And then it kind of randomly, at intervals, just sort of, I lose a bit more, do you know what I mean? And so as I've like grown up, like, you know, I've had various stages where I could see more. I think what I've got at the moment is like a bit of peripheral vision, so out the sides. And, you know, it's all dependent on light and all that sort of shit as well. But, yeah, I've been fortunate enough that I was able to see a lot more when I was younger, do you know what I mean? So I have a pretty good grasp on a lot of things. But, you know, the way I guess I choose to look at it, you know, we're all fucked equally, do you know what I mean? The shit that there's people with other issues that affect them, and not to put their struggle over mine or vice versa. Like, no one's walking through this life unscathed, you know what I mean? So we're each here with a fucking burden that we do our best to fucking manage, do you know what I mean? And yeah, like, it's, I think, you know, it's build character for me. People always say that when something's going to be shit, they're like, it's going to be character building. And, I think that's definitely been the case. And like, the battle thing has been more so, do you know what I mean? Because like, it was me really taking this shit by the reins and like being like, I'm gonna like run this. I got a tat on my arm. It says, if life's a bitch, I'm a pimp. And basically, you know, people always told me, you know, life's a bitch. Shit happens, life's a bitch, you know what I mean? But then they're like, life is what you make it. You know what I mean? So I was like, well, if that's the case, I'm gonna fucking make that bitch make money or whatever the fuck. Do you know what I mean? So like, it's all in perception. And you know, I'm fortunate to have been, you know, had a supportive upbringing. But even in that, like, I don't know, bro, I'm like when I was like, I think maybe like year 9 or something, 15, they were like, I was like, because I was like mainstream school my whole life. I just went to school with like all the other normal kids. And I think when I was like 14, 15, mom and dad were like considering like sending me to like a school for the blind, or like maybe it was like, I can't remember whether it was like one of the ones down south, maybe like not Christie's Beach, like Sea Cliff or Sea, I can't remember. But there was like a school there with like a department or like a little thing for blind kids, and they were thinking about sending me there to really get me, you know, make sure I get the education or, you know, the fucking attention that my condition required. And I went there and I like was there for a few days, and like just they were like tried to sell it to us, like, oh, these blind kids like interact really well with the rest of the student and they're part of it. And I went there and like blind kids like hung with other blind kids. They didn't fucking interact. They were like excluded from like, you know, most social fucking goings on. And like, you know, I might not have had the best like educational experience, but socially I'm like the most fucking I hold myself like better than most blind people I've met in just in a general social environment, you know what I mean? Because you know, whether that's because, you know, I guess they're so babied or wrapped in cotton wool, do you know what I mean? They're really, a lot of blind people I think struggle to integrate into society. And I think that choice to stay at mainstream school and like really follow that through, like, go to parties and do shit that I feel like a lot of blind kids probably never got to do. Not out of like, not like their parents or the teachers were being like malicious, but like I think they probably just like fucking tended to them to the point of dependency growing. Do you know what I mean? And I never had that. So I was very fortunate in my fucking set of circumstances that I was able to, yeah, really fucking have the say that I needed to be able to, you know, be a well-adjusted fucking semi-functional member of society. I'm just secure within myself. I'm like very blessed to be like well-adjusted. Like my mother was always real supportive. She like taught me when I was young, there's ways around everything. Do you know what I mean? And the day there's not something that has a way around it that you can do, that'll be the thing that kills you. Do you know what I mean? And so I had this like thing like for so long when I was growing up, I was like conscious of not being like different, you know what I mean? And like, so I like, you know, I've been blind for a minute, or, you know, had a vision impairment for a long time. And I would like not use my cane at high school, even though I probably needed it, because like I was conscious like that's going to be the thing that is going to make me stick out, and it's going to inhibit my ability to really like socialize. And do you know what I mean? So like, you know, I like went through high school and I did all the growing up, you know, like just fighting so hard against accepting that fucking eventuality to the point where I ended up like, I got to the point where they're like, oh, do you want a guide dog? And I was like, oh, you know, like shit, probably hell below it, but like, fuck, there goes trying to like fit in out of the fucking window. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no not standing out when you walk around with a dog, particularly my dog. He's like fucking 48 kilos, dude. He's a beast. You've seen him. And so I was like, I come to that sort of conclusion where I was like, all right, maybe if you own it and you just be you, and like people will be like, oh, it's a blind dude, and you know, I got shit like the tats and fucking whatever. Like that's my way of owning it, because I don't look how your typical blind person looks. So I guess my way, I like took ownership of it, and I was like, yeah, they'll be like, yeah, he's like blind, but he's like kind of looks like a cool cunt. You know what I mean? And so once I've really like conquered that like hurdle of confidence within myself, I really like nothing meant shit to me after that. You couldn't tell me nothing. Do you know what I mean? I was so the kid in the battles. I was like, what the fuck you gonna say to me? Something I haven't heard, you know, 100 times in non-rhyming, more fucking impactful conflict. Do you know what I mean? In my past, like it doesn't affect me, bro, because it's like I am a blind person. I'm fucking blind, dude. Like, and what? Do you know what I mean? So you're basically just stating the obvious. Do you know what I mean? And I'm yeah, real fortunate that I had the support and I had that sort of realization young within myself. Do you know what I mean? Like there's people who battle with this sort of shit for years. There's people who die without having a level of like confidence in myself or their selves that I sort of have. Do you know what I mean? So I'm very fortunate that these sort of things, like they're words, bro. It's a sound. Imagine having a sound fuck up your day. Do you know what I mean? Like, what does it mean, bro? Like, people's words only have the power that you give them. So,
and like obviously as an adult, people know better than to make fun of people that are disabled. But as a young dude coming up,
maybe.
I mean, did you know, kids can be pretty ruthless. Did you cop it back in the day?
Yeah, of course. But that just made me fucking quick. You know what I mean? Where you think I got these freestyle rebuttals and shit from? Do you know what I mean? Like it's something like baptism by fire shit. Do you know what I mean? Like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and it just made me quicker, faster thinking. And as far as the battle shit goes, probably more fucking malicious. You know what I mean? Like I like people talk about there being lines in battle rap. I battle people like there's fucking no lines. If you're gonna talk about me being blind, bro, then like everything's off the table. Whatever your Achilles heel is, I'll just fucking focus on that, because you don't know that, you know, I don't know, say fucking, I don't know, but whatever like affects you, how do you know it doesn't affect me differently? Say I talk about your dead brother, I probably wouldn't do it. I'm a bit more mature these days, but you know, people like, oh, you can't talk about that. I'm fucking blind, bro. You called me blind for like 3 rounds. How are you gonna tell me I can't do that? How do you know you dissing me for being blind for 3 rounds doesn't affect me just as much as me talking about your dead brother? It's because I'm fucking well adjusted and I don't let that fucking shit get to me, because I'm an emotionally mature I'm a fucking man. And people just lose that perspective, I think. So I like, there's no hold bars, no holds barred. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really fucking see where this double standard comes from. Because at the end of the day, the only difference is your ability to deal with what you're saying. And don't get it twisted. Like, I'll say some fuck shit, but it's on them to react. Like, someone might fucking snap, not like what I say. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to censor no one. Like, you can say what you want, but it's on the individual how they choose to react. I can't. If I'm going to say, like, oh, I'm saying what I want, bro, don't censor me, then I can't be like, oh, you can't hit me. It's to each his own, bro. Like, I say what I say with the risk of being on World Star, you know what I mean? I said that to you before that.
Do you find that after a while, the blind jokes in the battles kind of, they get played out and people just start saying the same sort of shit?
A lot of times I do, but there's still ones that, like, crack me up, dude. There's still, like, ones that'll come through and I'm like, that's fucking hilarious, bro. Like,
is there any in particular that you can remember?
yeah, what did Diz said to me, what the fuck did he say? He was like, I could say 2 words that'll make a blind person see. Eye surgery. And you know you live in a world where God hates you and those 2 things rhyme perfectly.
Yeah, I remember
that. Was incredible. I was like, that was like fucking amazing, dude. I was like, I lost it. I think my man Cortex had a real good one because my fucking real name Ryan spelled with the I. It's like Celtic heritage shit instead of the Y. And so he like addressed it in his bars. He's like, nice name, dickhead. Normally, I'm like paraphrasing badly. Most people would spell it with a Y. I notice in your case, they spell it with an I. So here, the phrase putting a name to the face definitely applies because both your name and your face have unnecessary eyes. that's like amazing, bro. I still won that battle, but that's fucking incredible. Like he should have won it off the strength of that fucking, of that shit. Shout out to brother Cortex. That's my man. But yeah, sometimes, bro, some people come through with some fucking classic shit, dude. I fucking love it.
When you first, like if you reminisce back to when you first got into battling, I imagine you knew that the blind jokes were going to come because they'd been coming before you got into battle rap.
Yeah, of course. So, I occasionally I'd have like pre-med flips, but generally I find it more fun and rewarding and generally more entertaining for the crowd too, is if you literally just take what they say and work with it as opposed to having like a fucking standard, well, you say that might be nuts. You know what I mean? Like, the freestyle rebuttal shit is what hits, and that's, I think, a big part of what I'm known for, do you know what I mean? Especially incorporating that into the written battle. Sometimes it fucking flops, sometimes it's incredible.
One of the battles that you had that really stands out for me is the one versus Disaster.
Yeah, well, that's my favorite shit.
Yeah, man. I mean, he came in heavy with the blind jokes.
Yeah,
and bro. Man, the way that you went about your business was epic. Pity about the footage didn't come out.
Yeah, that's
so good.
The story of my life, bro.
But man, tell us about that particular battle because that was a definite classic.
Yeah, well, so I had like a streak. I was like chewing my way through like anyone they would give to me. I basically come in with like unrivaled hunger, really, bro. Do you know what I mean? And I'll just take any battle they'd give me. Do you know what I mean? Like to the point where like I think I was literally like undefeated for so long. I like went to Melbourne. I did my first battle in Melbourne, and me and this kid like had a real tight battle, and it was really fucking close. And they gave him the win, and I was like so fucking mad, bro. I was like, fuck it. Next event, I'm doing 2 battles, and I fucking did 2 battles at the next event and bodied it, and So, with that drive, like, I guess I took that, I got the call. They were like, yo, do you want to battle Disaster? And bear in mind, this is like right after Cannabis. Like, this is like Disaster in his prime. Like, this is like he embarrassed Cannabis. Cannabis embarrassed himself too, but this is like Disaster in his like bag. And I was like, oh, fuck. I don't fucking know, dude. Like, I've done a lot. I don't know if I can fucking do this. You know what I mean? He was at the apex of, like, battle rap. He was the embodiment. He was, like, the man at that time. And I was like, well, fuck, bro, you've come this far. Like, this is dude I've, like, come up watching. He's, like, like, huge influence. And I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to fucking do it, man. and I fucking went in there knowing full well what he was gonna do, and like I just prepared accordingly, bro. And I think I like, you know, to this day people tell me I held my own, which given not only his status but where he was at, the run he was on, like the level of confidence within and comfortability where he was at within his style, to like, you know, a lot of people battle him now and he's doing like half-assed performances, and well, you know, he's not inspired. Not to take anything away from him, but like I got a fully like hungry Disaster, and yeah, bro, like that was like crazy, and like I'm so stoked I did it because that's one of my like crowning achievements. You know what I mean? We packed out, sold out. What was it called? Fucking Fowlers, and you know, I had so many people who had never, like, so many close like friends who had like never been to any of my battles, but they understood what this meant there. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was a massive, massive thing. And afterwards, he was like, "Bro, he was like, you're like the one who's brought it to me." Do you know what I mean? And we kicked it afterwards, and like, you know, we had a good connection. And it's crazy because when you do these battles, like, you spend so long focusing and prepping on this one person, and they do the same thing. You have like a bond, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, "Oh, you said that. I thought he was gonna say that," and I was like, "Yeah." And then you did this, and I had that, so I knew I was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like a real cool connection, and like, fuck. But even after that battle, we come back and kicked it at homie's crib, and he like spat some like leftover fucking shit for cannabis that he fucking never spat, like on some exclusive shit. And bro, it was like just a cool experience, man. And I think it was probably one of my best, not only performances, but like some of my best material. And we went into it like, it's fucking like 2 minute rounds or some shit. But like, I'd done the Ilmac battle like a couple months before, and we meant to do 1 minute rounds, and then he just rapped for like 2 minutes. And I was like, oh, I'd like hit Ilmac up. I was like, I thought we was rapping for a minute. He's like, yeah. I was like, all right. But all right, I get it. These time limits, it seems to be a suggestion, even though we will sort of take it as gospel. From that moment on, I never stuck to a fucking time limit. I was like, fuck you, bro. I'm fucking rapping until I'm done. You can rap to a time limit if you're dumb enough to think that's what we're doing. But if I got all this fire, I'm fucking spitting it. And good luck trying to stop me. You're going to try to signal at me and fucking like point to your fucking wrist and shit. I'm not seeing that, bro. I'm fucking rapping, bro. You're going to have to actually stop me. You know what I mean? Like, so that was real cool. That was a big turning point stylistically for me. It was like amazing. And I think it put my name on the map a lot internationally. Like, obviously the Ilmac battle did too, but, you know, because that battle was so heated and such a widely considered to be classic, you know what I mean? So,
Man, now Disaster's just one of a handful of internationals that you've matched up against.
yeah.
I guess give us a brief rundown.
Oh shit. So what have I battled? I battled internationally, like Shazam from Sweden, who was the prestigious champion of Got Beef for a little bit of time. Who else? Ilmac, two-time Rail Draft champion, of course. Uno Lavos, Disaster. Oh God, who else? Protege from the Philippines. He was dope. Daylight, Thesaurus. I did the Sharon battle, which is like, we don't talk about that, but that was like pretty much like a month after the Diz battle, and but that was probably like one of my like worst performances in that. Like, I fucked that up because a lot of people think like, I think I even like in my insecure state afterwards, I tried to like blame like being on drugs or like being like fucked up, but really like I wasn't. Like, I just battled Disaster when he was like top of the world, and I just wasn't as inspired for that battle as I should have been, given the opportunity that it was. Like, I went to Toronto and I battled a King of the Dot at World Domination. Do you know what I mean? Like, I fucked up, but like I kind of overdid it because, you know, I had like a 2 year streak where I was like battling every other month, and yeah, I think I just sort of run out of steam. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm mature enough now that I can like just be like, I fucked up, but fuck, what else? I'm trying to think if there's any other. No, not really. No other real internationals. a lot of other like classics and like really dope, high profile like sort of local like ones. Obviously like really anecdote, Death Run. I was meant to. They flew me out to New Zealand to do a battle there in Auckland against this kid Scholar, and I flew out there. I was at the event. Apparently, homeboy rolls deep. I was like, shit, me and my missus are there, and I was like, shit, like it gets to like the end of the event, and they're like, oh, Scholar hasn't showed up, G. And I was like, what? And I tried to call out him. They couldn't get in contact with him, and so it was just basically a free fucking New Zealand holiday, which is dope. Shout outs to DLR, Toki Cones, Pseudo over there. But yeah, I got back and it turned out that homie got fucking arrested or some shit. So that worked out tremendously in my favor.
Shit.
But I've had a lot of great opportunities afforded to me through battling, man. Like, and then that's just written. Like the freestyle shit is some of the like my favorites. Like I took out that 10 grand Word Adelaide freestyle comp, like battling the likes of Purpose, The Tongue, Joe from Social Change. That was crazy. That was at like Theberton Theatre. It wasn't international, but that was like...
That was in the big box. They had like a boxing ring.
Yeah, it was like a crazy event, bro, because it was like, I believe PJ had like a hand in organising it, and it was like part of this Word Adelaide festival, and it's like the language of war or whatever. That's how they tied it in. So it was like government like funded or whatever, and so like we couldn't like be overtly offensive. So we had to like, I think one round was like a compliment round, like one round was like a topical round. I forget what the third round was. One round was a cappella, one round was on beat, one round had simplex beatboxing. It was cool, but yeah, that was wild, man.
What'd you do with the 10 grand?
I actually, because I was like finishing up my album at the time, so I put on tour. I did my tour for the album, what it looked like. I brought the brother Rates with me. Greeley came with me, MOC came with me, a whole bunch of us, and we did a tour around the country. And that was good, bro, because it was my first time like touring, and I like was handling the business myself. I was like booked all the venues, and we did all the flights and everything. Like we did, I think, except for Perth, where we linked up with this promoter who like brought us out. But that was cool, and we broke even, which is like pretty much unheard of for like a first tour. Do you know what I mean? Like you generally at a loss, so that was cool, and it was like a big point in like maturity for me, because I was like, it was the first time I like just didn't do some fucking dickhead shit with the money. Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh, I'm gonna fucking flip this and hustle it, and do you know what I mean? Like, and even like speaking on like maturing in battles and shit, like it's crazy because like I'm like not ashamed of it, but you kind of like grow up with me if you watch my battles, because like for so long, I think for like 20 battles, I was like, I'll get as high as I can and drunk, and I'll do these battles, and it'll be cool. People will be like, oh, it's like Maggot and he's battling, but it just really fucking inhibited my performance realistically, and there was lots of stumbling, and like it was just shit. And it's only been like the last few years where I'm like, oh, like take this seriously, do it properly, perform. And it's only the last few years I've been able to actually watch my performances back and not cringe. Do you know what I mean? Like,
looking at battle rap like now, who would you like to see in like locally, domestically in Australia? Like, are there any matchups that you think would be real good to see?
yeah, well, there's like ones like thrown around. Obviously, like Perps versus Dunners is like the sort of most requested, I think, like because they're both just at the top of their game. They've both represented us around the world. You know what I mean? They both had like really came up. Oh, obviously they've done a lot of fucking dope shit before, and they had previously established names. But that 2014 Don't Flop Australia final, the Icebreaker tournament, really like they just hit a stride. Do you know what I mean? And they didn't battle each other in that, so I think that's one that's like that'd be super dope. Shit, who else, man? Like I think, fuck, bro, like I can't think of too many other matches like that I'd rather see. Do you know what I mean? That would be like phenomenal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that would definitely, the two that I'd like to see are Purpose Dundee and I'd love to see Cursor and All Day.
Yeah, that'd be tight, bro. So Nicotine, I'd love to see Nicotine do another battle against someone I can't really think of because he's battled both Perp and Dunners, sorry. So I can't really think of who, but I'd love to see another fucking Nico battle, bro.
Who's your who's off the top of the head? Who's your top 5 favorite battle rappers?
Oh fuck, it's such an ever evolving list, man. Shit. I really like I can't give a definitive top 5, but names I really like. I'm not even really checking for battles too much of late. So I'm not like probably going to give the most up to date list, but like the people I'm always like when I see their name, I'm like yes. I dig Hitman Holler. Shit, who else? Like Arsenal's always entertaining. Pat Stay, obviously. She was like Passwords and Nestle just put on a fucking clinic. That was amazing. That kind of like rekindled my love for this shit a bit. God, who else, man? Like Shocks the Rebel. He's real dope out of the UK as well. That's someone who's always does like a real clean performance and has heavy bars. You know.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm missing out a lot, but those are people who's I'll definitely check for. Obviously Hollow the Dawn as well. He's probably my favorite, to be honest with you. I love
Hollow.
Din and the Nine. Yeah.
Man, Hollow's dope. I want to see Hollow and Mook.
Yeah, I'd love to see like Hollow versus Diz or like yeah, Hollow versus anyone, bro. He's the fucking man, bro. He just does everything so well. Like, yeah, he's dope.
Yeah, was it Hollow versus Pat Stay?
Yeah, that was tight, man.
That was dope.
Yeah, Hollow versus anyone's pretty good. I think he, like Lux was amazing as well. Him versus Lux is dope.
When you watch URL and when you watch KOTD, do you have a preference?
No, not really. No, not really. I'm liking some of the like the smaller sort of events that KOTD are doing, like the back to the basics or back to the bunker, whatever it is. Like ones there, like they sort of really seem to. They've got like real high quality sounding production, and like the crowds are responsive, which is dope. Big K is another person I should have chucked on that list. He's dope too. But I'm liking them. But aside from like, yeah, I think like those sorts of events sort of are most pertinent to producing sort of clashes that are a classic. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, like the World Domination / Blackout series by King of the Dot is dope, and the Summer Madness by URL. I just like whatever has the matches that are most enticing to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, that atmosphere from like Summer Madness 3 though, that was probably my favorite like setting.
Summer Madness 3 was that?
That was like Hollow. Oh no, sorry, it was Lux versus Calico. Maybe it was like him and Hollow versus John.
Lux Calico was off its head.
T-Rex versus Averb, and like Diddy and shit was there. Lupe Fiasco, Busta Rhymes, they were all there like
on the balcony and shit. Was that Summer Madness 3 or 2?
I reckon it was 3, bro. And then halfway through, like Averb and like T-Rex, like after the second round, Diddy was like put 10 grand for whoever wins the next round. You know what I mean? It was like just those sort of like that atmosphere is just like incredible. Like Drake hosting King of the Dot events and shit like that. I just love when shit just feels like it's fucking momentous. You know what I mean? It's like you're witnessing history. Like.
Yeah, that was during a Disaster DNA battle when Drake.
He's hosted a few. I think he even put on like Blackout 6. OVO sponsored it or something like that. He was there. Mook and Drake nearly battled there. Like.
One of the big topics that sort of popped up, or one of the big things that happened in the last few weeks. Was that SBS Viceland doco or like short clip, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Out of all of this, I feel worst for those lads in the video because they were obviously like taken out of context, given like follow-up things I've seen from like people like Earthboy who were actually in the video and stuff. And like that, I feel for those kids, man, because now they've just got this fucking overwhelming like number of people who just aren't gonna fuck with them forever, based on something that, they were the footage was manipulated to make them like look like they were like, oh fuck Aussie hip hop. But you know what I mean? Like that was obviously an agenda Vice had. Like those like kids like that, Manny Crooks, and you know they make dope music, and it's shit that we're finally in a stage of hip hop in this country that is finally being accepted, and the thing is like that Vice thing is like set us back like 3 years because now like I can't play certain homies like new trap shit that I'm fucking with or I dig because they're like, nah, it's toy based on that fucking video. And like these kids like were obviously like expressing, you know, like it or not, like this is something that we're like addressing, you know, like through like, you know, the act of, you know, artists like AB Original and stuff. We're having like pretty interesting like talks about, you know, the culture and all this sort of stuff. And you know, I don't think Oz hip hop, quote unquote, was like particularly hospitable to, you know, people of color like previously. And like, you know, I see in the comments people like, oh, but we had coolism or whatever. But it's like that doesn't like speak for an entire, you know, generation. We're only starting to see a lot of these young dudes like coming out now. And I feel like, you know, even the quote Oz hip hop, like it is exclusive. It has been for a while, like, you know, to a lot of white people. Like even I remember coming up and people, like, I was trying to show people Oz hip hop, you know, and they're like, yeah, I like this. It's none of that gangster shit. Subtext being it's not like black people. Do you know what I mean? And whether it's like overt or like, you know, whether it's like whether they mean to be or not, it's like, you know, it is kind of racist. And I think, yeah, I think like, you know, I think we really like, you know, I seen Lazy Gray statement like we needed, you know, barbecue song, we needed all these things, and we did. And Oz hip hop, the whole identity of it was like forged out of a necessity for us. Because when this shit started, even when I was coming into it, we were like branded wiggers and like, so I can understand like the whole idea of Oz hip hop is like we're not like we're doing our own thing, and like we needed that like to really find our like perch and build that identity for ourselves. But it kind of was isolating, I think, to a lot of minorities who shared the interest in the culture, but you know, it's so hardline with the support of hip hop. And like, you know, these people. I had a homie who was like Lebanese, and he would rhyme and he'd put on an American accent, and part of me was like, that's not how you talk, bro. But he was taught American English in school where he was from. Do you know what I mean? So who am I to say who am I to be like, that's not real, bro? Like, that's fucking real to him. And there's nothing more fake than someone trying to dictate your definition of what real is. So I think, you know, we're in a diverse stage. We can still have these, like, you know, celebrated Australian artists, but I think you can't be mad at these kids because they felt isolated and they're just trying to make their mark on the game. Do you know what I mean? Now, especially more so than ever, that it's being received well. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I really struggled to see any like artists who like really addressed it in a way I felt that was like in a way that was like addressing all sides of it. Because I don't know, I'll be like tripping out. I like just analyze things, I empathize, I look at all angles. And you know, like when the accent debate was on, like, you know, I was so long I was like, yeah, no, that's American whack accent, fuck that, we're Aussie, like. But I got to a point where certain artists I'd be listening to had a fake accent and they were actually dope. And I was like, are you really going to not listen to this shit because of this little chip on your shoulder? Like, at the end of the day, good music's good music. I don't know if other countries have this idea of being so nationalized with their idea of hip hop. It's just hip hop. You know what I mean? The fact that you're in Australia or UK is really inconsequential. But yeah, I really felt for those dudes. I feel like they're going to come up against, you know, people fucking not checking for their music because of something that they might not necessarily have fucking inferred or even said. Like, really, it seems to have been pretty heavily butchered, the fucking interview, based on, you know, the responses from people who were involved in it. Do you know what I mean?
So you've got no, like, you think that if you're an Australian artist but you rap in an American accent, that's chill as, or
It doesn't affect me. Like, it doesn't. How does it hurt me? Why would I care about it? Like, at the end of the day, like if I'm not gonna be that dude being like, when people come up to me at a show and they be like, "Oh, man, it's like you're killing it. Just keep it real." I'm like, what does that mean? Like that. Basically, they're just saying keep doing the stuff I like, and then the day I do something they don't like, he's like, yeah, he's sold out or he's fake. And it's like, I'm just doing what I want, bro. That's being real to me. Like, it's such a subjective thing, and it doesn't affect me. We're not at a stage anymore where we're being looked at as wicked. Someone rapping in an American accent isn't effectively hindering the progress of Australian hip hop, particularly when they're, a young person who might not even have cultural roots in this country. You know what I mean? Like, I just think to each his own, and I don't understand in hip hop why people get so upset by shit that doesn't fucking affect them. Don't listen to it. If you don't like to hear a person with a American accent rapping, don't listen to him. It's pretty fucking simple, bro. Like, and this whole idea of barbecue rap, like, is I understand. It's like, it was the early days. We were trying to define ourselves and find our voice, but that's not the case anymore. So I don't know, bro. I just think that these guys have like culture vultured their way into the shit and caused a shitstorm that's divided us now more so than ever, when we're really on the verge of like being unified. And there's a lot of exciting young talent in this country, bro, and a lot of people might not fucking check for it now based on what that fucking video has done. Like, there's kids like in Aussie accents making trap music. Like what? Do you know what I mean? They're like rapping in an Aussie accent. So how is that at odds with our history? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the fucking sound of the beat, bro. Like, trap music, they don't even know the meaning of it based on the actual initial definition of it. All the fucking Aussies think is that if it's an 808, it's trap music. Trap music is not that at all. I don't know, bro. There's just a lot of divide and conquer, like, disinformation shit happening. And I think that people just get heavily invested in things that don't fucking affect them, really.
So why do you reckon the Viceland, SBS Viceland would have put something like that out?
Well, were you checking for any Viceland videos before that?
Nah, I guess not.
And that worked.
Yeah, but I kind of won't be checking for many more now either.
The thing that I'm like, they haven't even addressed it. They haven't even put out like a statement or like nothing. But at the end of the day, like, they already had a fucking. This is what these people do. Do you know what I mean? They come into a subculture and they like fucking look into it and they do their little fucking, documentaries or whatever. And all the people in that subculture watch it and then they'll go off and do something else. They don't need us. They've already got hundreds of thousands of fucking viewers. You know what I mean? They just kicked up a shitstorm, made themselves relevant to us, fucked off, and do it to the next people.
The lesson. Oh, yeah.